Welcome to Revive Recipes. Today is our second episode and we're so glad you joined us. We will be making a delicious Greek dish that can be hearty, versatile. You can do anything with it. You can make it a main course for dinner. You can use it for lunches. You can use it for a brunch. You can even make appetizers out of it. And I'm going to show you how to do all of them. Stay tuned. So today we are making Kotopita. It is a Greek chicken pie, and you guys, it is absolutely delicious. So let me show you all the ingredients and then we will get started cooking. So the first thing we're going to need is a 1/4 cup of olive oil, 1 small onion diced, and I've already diced it up and got it all ready. 1 red pepper, and keep in mind any of these ingredients, if you don't like them, you can certainly leave them out and you can put whatever you prefer in there. Red pepper is sweet and it really does add flavor. You're going to want 2 garlic cloves chopped up or put through the garlic press. And then you need a 1/4 cup of flour, 2 cups of whole milk, a 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg, and a pinch of red pepper flakes. Now, if you don't like red pepper or red pepper flakes, you can leave them out. It just adds a tiny pop to the meal. So you might want to leave that in there. 2 cups of cooked, diced, or shredded chicken. Now, I roasted my chicken ahead of time. I used chicken breasts, but you can use a whole chicken and shred it. You can also use leftover chicken. You can use chicken breasts. You can use turkey. If you have leftover turkey, you can use turkey. What I like to do with my chicken when I'm roasting it is I will brush it lightly with a little olive oil, and then I'll put some garlic and herbs over it and bake it and let those flavors just kind of get into the chicken. It just adds a little extra to it. And then I just shred it up or chop it up. In this case, I've chopped it up, and it works just fine to do that. And then the cheeses. Now, you can use your favorite cheeses. What I have in here is 1 cup of mozzarella, a 1/4 cup of feta, and a 1/4 cup of Parmesan. But you can use any cheese that melts well. That's your favorite. If Gouda is your favorite, then you can use Gouda. This recipe is real versatile, like I said before, and so you can mix it up. And then you will need 2 eggs and a package of phyllo dough. Now, this is just the regular phyllo dough that you buy in the grocery store, and it's the number 4 phyllo. If you can find the country phyllo or the number 10 phyllo, that actually works a little better because it's a little thicker. But don't worry, if this is all you can find, and it was all I could find, you can use this and then just double the layers. The only difference between the country and the regular is the thickness of the layers. And then you'll want some sesame seeds. Now, I roasted these because I think that roasting the seeds just gives it an extra pop of flavor. And then you will need about 1½ cups of melted butter. So keep that in mind. Oh, and salt and pepper. So I've got the cracked pepper here, the coarse peppercorn that we're going to grind when we put it in, and salt. So that's all of the ingredients, and of course, as usual, I will post the entire recipe on the Revive Recipe Facebook page. So if you're ready, we're going to go ahead and get started. Pretty much everything is going to be done right here at the stove. And after we get it made, the filling made, we're going to move over to the other side for the pastry. So to get started, we're going to make a bechamel sauce. And bechamel is just a fancy word for French white sauce. And yeah, we're making a Greek dish, but they use the bechamel cream in it. So that's what we're going to get started with. But we are going to add the onions and peppers to our bechamel sauce. So that's the first step. Now, I'm going to turn this on here. This burner isn't the greatest, so I may end up having to move this. But we just want to put our olive oil in, and then the onion. And I like to mix up the onion so that all of it gets covered in the olive oil. And we want to cook this until it's translucent and tender, and that takes probably 3 to 4 minutes, depending on your particular stove and how hot you have it, if you have electric, if you have gas, or convection. So what we're going to do with that, we're going to leave this sit until it's translucent. Okay, so that looks good. Now we're going to add the peppers. And again, we want to cook them until they're tender. Just mix them up and cook them till they're tender. And you don't have to use a pan like this. If you have a larger pot, you can certainly do that. I'm using this pan so that it's easy for you all to see what I'm doing. So again, I'm going to cover this up, and I'm just going to let those peppers cook. Again, it's probably going to be, about 2 minutes, maybe 3. Okay, so this has been in here just simmering a little bit, and the peppers are starting to break down. They're soft. So at this point, what we want to do is add the garlic. Now, all we're going to do with the garlic is we're just going to let it sit in here for about 30 seconds, which is basically as long as it'll take you to get it mixed in. Oops, escapee. We want all the wholesome goodness in there. And you can really smell the garlic starting to break down, and flavor is really coming through. All right, so now we're going to add the flour, and we're going to stir this up. And we just really want to toast that flour and get it mixed all the way through. This is the base of our bechamel sauce. And when you see that it's all starting to stick together, then we're ready to add the milk. So we're going to pour 2 cups of whole milk right into this. And mix it all up. And then we're going to just stir it up and blend it. You can see it's kind of runny right now, but this will thicken up. And you're going to want to stir it frequently because you don't want it to burn. It tends to stick to the bottom and thicken on the bottom first. So you will want to stir this up and let it thicken up. And this will probably take, again, depending on the different stovetops that you're using, this will take 3 to 5 minutes. Okay, so this is starting to boil. You can see the bubbles. And once it gets to this point, it's, as you can see, it's a sauce. It's not super thick. It's not heavy. And that's what bechamel sauce should look like. It's just a really nice creamy sauce. All right, so then at this point, we take it off of the burner. And we're going to add the cheese. Again, you can use any cheese you want, your favorite cheeses. And we're just going to mix this right in. And it should melt. Now, if you have really large feta crumbles, you might want to break those down into smaller chunks just to make melting easier. But see how that cheese is melting? You guys, yum. Now, this bechamel sauce is also great for making macaroni and cheese. And you can see why. Look at this. Doesn't it look amazing? Okay, so at this point, we're going to add the nutmeg and the pinch of red pepper flakes, the chicken, get all the goodness in there. We want to salt and pepper to taste. You can use your own judgment as to how much you want in it, but I suggest you start out lightly and then you taste it. We'll taste this to see if we need to add more. But remember, cheese is salty, so you only might need just a little dash of salt. The other thing to think about too is the melted butter that we use. If you use salted butter, then you definitely are going to want to go easy on the salt on your filling. Okay, all that's left to add, look at this, look how yummy this is. And remember how the sauce was pretty creamy and wasn't super thick? So here's what we're going to do now. We're going to add the eggs, but before we do, we don't want our eggs to turn to scrambled eggs in our food. So we're going to break our eggs and scramble them. Uh-oh, got a little shell in there. Usually just using the eggshell works, but for some reason that didn't, but I got it. Okay, so we're gonna beat up these eggs, and then to this we're gonna add a little bit of our sauce or our filling, and that's gonna temper our eggs. If we don't do this and you just dump your eggs in that, you will end up with scrambled eggs. And the purpose of our eggs is to hold everything together inside of our little pockets. Now you probably only need to do just one scoop. I'm a little overcautious. I usually put a couple scoops in just to make sure that I don't end up with scrambled eggs. All right, and then this gets completely mixed into everything. And when we bake this, they will cook through the whole thing too. Now, if you plan to bake your Kotopitas right away, at this point you'll want to turn your oven on to 350 degrees. And then in the amount of time it takes you to actually make your little pockets, the oven should be more than warmed up. All right, this is good to go. This is completely ready. And so at this point, I'm going to move this over here. Now I have these handy little trivet things here that I got from Pampered Chef, and I love these things. I can just set this hot pan right on it and just leave it there. It's set, it's ready to go. As we're going to take our phyllo, and this will have had to sit out on the counter for probably 2 hours prior to you using it. Now, if your phyllo was frozen, put it in the refrigerator the night before. And each batch is going to be completely different. Now, this batch is all wrinkled up, and it was not, when I opened my first batch, it wasn't like this. Because I made some before and it didn't do that. So, but what you'll do is you'll open it up, and then, like I said, mine is thin. So I'm going to take 2 layers and I'm going to put them over here. And then I'm going to cover this with this towel because it dries out super fast and you don't want that. So you'll want to cover it with a towel, or a little damp towel would even work, just as long as there's no air getting to it. All right, so what we're going to do then with this is we're just going to take our melted butter. We're just going to drizzle it. Yum. Look at that. And then we're going to take a half a cup of our filling. And you know what? It doesn't have to be exact. And we're just going to put it right in the middle. Just like that. And then we fold the bottom up. Take this side, fold it over. And you know what? I'm just going to put some more butter on this. When it comes to phyllo, the butter is what makes it so flaky and so good. Right now I'm going to fold this once, twice, and then I'm just going to keep folding. Now when you get to this point, you can tuck it under on the other side. I just do this and turn it and put it in my pan. And you'll want to put them on parchment. So we'll do that again. I'll show you again. 2 sheets. You certainly can use 3 if you want it more pastry, more flaky. Cover it back up. Drizzle the butter. All right, and then use a half a cup, and we're just going to put it right in the middle. Fold up one end. See how it's cracked? So we're going to want to make sure that we cover that well. And put on the other side. Oops. We'll just stick a little butter under that to hold it down. Okay, we're going to fold. Fold. And keep rolling. Now this one, well, I guess maybe I can leave it up so that you can see how that turns out. Now, you can also make triangles. And for the triangles, I'm just going to use one sheet. Because what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to fold it in half. So, oh, this piece is pretty broken up. I am going to use 2 sheets because when you get your phyllo, if your sheets are all broken up, you're going to want a couple of sheets to just keep your filling in place. All right. So what I'll do now is I'm going to put butter on just one side. Okay? And then I'm going to fold it in half. And you know, that's a pretty big fold, but we're going to try it anyway. So for this, we're only going to need 1/4. But with every scoop, make sure that you get some of the peppers and chicken in it. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to take all the layers and we're just going to bring this over and fold it like that. And then we're going to go this way with it and fold it just like a flag, okay? And then we're going to go one more fold. Oops, that didn't go over very far. And tuck. All right, and then we'll put this over here. Now, for appetizers, what you're going to do is cut your puff pastry into thirds. So as you can see, I've already cut this into thirds. The whole roll I just cut. Now, this was not a brand new roll. It was what I had left over from using previously. So I'm not cutting the entire roll of 18 wraps or whatever it is. But you want to cut in thirds. And as you can see, when you open up the pack, they are wrapped in the plastic. So I want, perfect, there's 3 right here. Because remember, this is the number 4, not the 10. So I'm going to take these and we're going to do the exact same thing that we did to the other triangle. Butter it up, but instead of 1/4 cup, we're going to just do like about a tablespoon. So we want some cheese, we want some meat. And then we fold. And we fold just like we're doing a flag. And we fold again. And we fold again. And again. And again. And then we have one last little piece and we just tuck that up. And now we have a little appetizer size. So what you're going to do now, once you fill up your pan, we're going to brush the tops. Drizzle it with butter, all this yummy wholesomeness. I really overfilled that one. That's all right. It's going to be extra yummy. And then you take the sesame seeds and you just sprinkle them right over the top. That's it. Finish filling up your pan and put it in the oven at 350 degrees for 35 minutes. Watch your ovens because everyone's oven is different. So watch your oven because it may cook faster or slower. When it is nice and brown and crispy, then you know it's done. Now, through the magic of video, I have a pan that's already done. And I can show it to you right here. And these you can, for a hearty meal, dinner, what we do is I cook up some wild rice, herb and wild rice, and I put my little Kotopita right on top of the rice, and then I serve it with chicken gravy. You can drizzle right over the top of this, and oh, you guys, it is amazing, absolutely amazing. Jean absolutely loves this dish. And serve it with vegetables or a salad, and you have an amazing dinner. The other thing you can do is they pack wonderfully. You can put them in lunches to go because they do pack really, really well. These can also be great for a brunch item. You can change out these fillings however you want. You can, instead of the cheese and bechamel sauce, what you could do is scramble eggs and sausage and cheese and use that for your filling to put in here and serve it for a breakfast. Serve it for a to-go breakfast sandwich. Your kids are in a hurry for school, just pop those babies out, throw them in the microwave, and they're ready to go. Again, like I said, you can serve them for a brunch. These are easy to pick up to eat, again, for a sandwich. And then the little ones that we made that I haven't baked up yet would be a great appetizer for any of your get-togethers. So that's what they look like when they're done, nice and crispy and brown. Now, if you are not going to bake them right away, at this point, you can freeze them. You can put it in the refrigerator so that it gets nice and cold. Then pull them out. Wrap them in plastic wrap because you don't want them to absorb any other flavors in the freezer. Wrap them in plastic wrap and put them in the freezer, and they will stay in your freezer for 3 months. And then you just pull them out and bake them as needed, and people will think you slaved in the kitchen all day. So, like I said, this is a versatile, wonderful, easy recipe, and super delicious. So, we just celebrated Valentine's Day, and what a great day to be told you're loved, to tell others you're loved, to hear the words, "be mine." But what if you didn't hear those words? What if you're not feeling valued? Friend, I just want to finish up today by telling you that God loves you, that you are valued by God, and just like our Kotopitas, when we put all that goodness in the filling and then wrapped it in the pastry, God wants to fill us with his love and wrap his arms around us and love us. You know, in Isaiah 43:1, it says, "I have called you by name. You are mine." And in verse 4, it says, "You are precious and honored in my sight because I love you." Those are God's words for you. And did you catch what it said? You are highly valued by God. You are precious. You are honored. You are his. You are not rejected. And so as you make your Kotopita, think about those words. As you make your filling and you wrap it in the pastry, think about God's love wrapping you up in his loving arms. Have a good day.